Okay, so here is our day 4, page 2. Now we're getting into metric units. So metric units work solely based on powers of 10, which is kind of cool. I think they're pretty good. And powers of 10, though, we want to take a quick just reminder. If you have a power of 10, like 10 squared, it means multiply by 10 twice. So if I took 2 and multiplied it by 10 squared, for example, that would give me 2 zeros outside of the 2. So it moves that decimal place. If you multiply by 10, your number becomes larger. So if I took 2.5 times 10 to the third, then I would do 10 times 10 times 10 and move that decimal 3 times. And that's essentially what we're going to do with these metric unit conversions as well. But before I get to that, negative exponents mean divide. So if you have a 10 to the negative 1, it means 1 over 10. Divide by 10. Make it smaller. If you have 10 to the negative 2, it means divide by 10 twice. Make it 2 decimals smaller. So if I take 2.5 to the negative 3, it means 1, 2, 3. And I am making it that much smaller. Same as if you typed in your calculator 2.5 divided by 10, divided by 10, divided by 10. And then as a note, anything to the 0 power is 1 except for 0. So if you don't want to move the decimal, you just want to leave it alone, then it's 10 to the 0, 0 meaning no decimal movements. So I like to think of this also as it tells me how many decimals to move it when I'm doing those powers of 10. So now we're going to compute a few of them. If it's a positive exponent, it'll be a bigger number. If it's a negative exponent, it'll be a smaller number. So 2 is positive. So we're going to be moving 2 units larger. Okay. So 1, 2 gives me 57.5. If you're not sure, type it in. 0.575 times 10 times 10. Just do it twice and you'll get the same outcome. Now this one is a negative 2. So that's going to give me a smaller number by 2 units, 2 decimal points. So I'm going to go even smaller, 2 extra zeros for a total of 4 zeros. And then this one means go smaller 1. So smaller, move to the left 1 unit, 1. Or take 94,587 and divide it by 10. Same thing. So that gives me 9458.7. And then this one means make it a lot bigger. 10 to the 8th power. So I'm going to move this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm not only writing the entire number as I saw it, but I'm also doing 2 more zeros. Ta-da! So this one was larger. Move to the right 8 decimal places. Nice and big. So why are we going over it? Because the metric system uses this power of 10 idea to move between one unit to the next. So in American units for weight, we had pounds and tons, for example. For we have different, wording. They use just one central unit, meters for all their distance, grams for all their weight, liters for all their volume. So that becomes your central unit. That's 10 to the 0. If you want to convert to a deci, you're moving 1 unit that way. So you move the decimal 1 unit that way. It's the same as 1/10 or 1 to 10 to the negative 1 power. Centi is 2 centimeters smaller. So it gets moved. The decimal goes 1, 2 smaller. Milli is 3. And then going this way, you go bigger. So the 1 gets multiplied by 10 once, multiplied by 10 twice, multiplied by 10 3 times. So where this is pretty cool is if you want to go between not just the regular unit, but hecto, for example, to centi, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4. So say it was 5 hectos, you would move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 in that same direction, and it would do the conversion for you. So you can move back and forth along this chart by the powers of 10. So your kilo is 1,000, 1, 2, 3 zeros. That's 10 to the third. Hecto is your 100. That's 1, 2 zeros, 10 to the second. Deca is your 10. So that's 1 0, 10 to the 1. These are going to be larger units. They hold more. Whereas these are going to be deci, centi, milli. They hold less, so it takes more of them. So deci is now a 10th, 10 to the negative 1. Centi is 100, 10 to the negative 2. And milli is 1,000th, 10 to the negative 3. And the metric system uses these base 10 to move between their meters, grams, and liters. And again, all distance is meters, all weight is some type of gram, all volume is some type of liter. So it helps you move back and forth pretty easily. Now, I will say there are 2 D's here. Deca is a da, so you'll see it be a dom, a dag, a dol. Deci is then our D. A decimeter, a decigram, a deciliter to tell the difference. And then I've got those below in the notes. If you want to think of a centi being 100, think of it as 2 decimal places. That's our money, cents. And then a kilo, think of that as 1,000. Just some common ones. And then I've got one more thing here on this page to look at. Kind of a quick little mnemonic for it is if you want to think of it as the kilo is king, the hecto is Henry, deca is dozen, unit is usually deci drink, centi chocolate, milli milk. You can think of just a quick King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. This is my central unit. So if I wanted to go from hecto to cento really quick, I could write that out. If I wanted to go from deci to deca, I could write it out. So it's just a fun little mnemonic if you ever, needed to repeat it, that King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. Quick way for you to do that conversion. So one more time at the bottom here, the metric system uses a base 10. So you go from one place to the next by multiplying or dividing by powers of 10. And again, when you use a table, you move the decimal point from the unit you want, where you started, to where you want, and that's the number of decimals you move it in the direction. So these would move that way, but say you started over here and you finish over here, these would move that way. So it moves based on how many you're working on. So on the next page, I've got some practice problems for you. So we're going to convert these using the table. If you don't like the table, you don't have to use it. But essentially, we're going to take 2 dolls, which is right here, and we're going to convert it to liters. So that moves 1 spot. So our 2 gets 1 decimal and is 20 liters. So we come up with that conversion for us. For our kilometers to meters, kilometers is here, meters is here. 1, 2, 3. So I get 7,000. So 7,000 meters. So let me come up here and say 7, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's how we could use the table to get that 7,000 meters. Then the next one, we are going to convert centigrams to grams. So I'm going from here to here. So I have 5.8 centigrams, and I'm going 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's going to be 0.058 grams when I do that conversion. So I'm putting those zeros back right there. Sorry, right there. 1, 2 is my 2 there. And then for the next few, if I want deci to dom, that's 1, 2, 1, 2. So I get my 3.62 DOMs. And then finally, if I want to convert without a table, or if I want to use the table, that's up to me. So here's where my King Henry kind of makes a lot of sense to me, because I can quickly say King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. And I'm at dolls and I want liters. So I am going to divide it, multiply it, go this way, just 1. Just 1. And then you may want to pause the video and try a few more of these. So kilometers to meters, King Henry doesn't usually. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it would be 6,000 meters, or basically multiplying by 1,000. And then finally, King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. I want centigrams to grams. 1, 2, and I'm going to get 0.87 grams. All right, and then last item for this video, then there will still be another one for geometry part. But if we want to convert between American and metric, we can absolutely do that. We just have to have the conversion information. And that again is going to be given to you. You don't have to memorize it. That we're told though, 1 kilometer is 0.62 miles. You know, how often, oh, let's run a 5K, it's 3.2 miles. Let's run a 10K, you know, and we kind of know what those are. A kilogram to pound is another pretty common one, but we're going to give those to you. And then you just need to make sure that the units cancel the way you want them to. That's key. So 13 miles to kilometers. All I'm worrying about are these miles canceling. So miles on top, miles on bottom, and that'll give me my kilometers. Then I'm going to go ahead and look at, oh, what's the conversion? 1 kilometer to 0.62 miles. So 13 divided by 0.62 gives me 20.97. Definitely pause the video and try 17. So 65 kilograms, and I want pounds. Okay. So think, what's going to cancel out kilograms if I put it on the top or the bottom? Kilograms divided by kilograms would cancel it. So pounds needs to be up there. Then I put my conversion. 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So 65 times 2.2. And that gives me my 143 pounds. All right, so that concludes the metric and then converting American to metric.